My name is Shoshana Abrams, and I'm 46 years old. I was born and raised in a town called Dundalk, which was the heroin capital of America in 1995, though I had no idea at that time. I was raised Catholic by my mom, though my father was a self-hating Jew. In June 2001, which was a few months before 9/11 happened, I came to Israel on a vacation, and I did, for the first time in my life, I felt like I was home. And when I came to Israel, I was like, this is the place to be. I was on a plane returning back to America, and I was devastated and crying nonstop, watching the shoreline of the Mediterranean slowly disappear from my view. When I returned home, I took a phone book and I started calling every Orthodox synagogue I could find. Because my friend in Israel told me, if you want to be a real Jew, you have to convert with the Orthodox, not Reform, Conservative, or whatever else is out there. And it took a couple of months of me calling congregations, and people were not returning my calls. And one guru conversion rabbi in Pikesville told me, why don't you get your feet wet first before jumping in the deep end of the pool? I didn't really understand what he meant by that. So I asked him if there were some books I could buy, and he just turned me away. Not understanding that being turned away was part of the conversion process, I found a conservative rabbi. I made an appointment with him, and during our first meeting, he gave me a free Tanakh. He gave me a list of books to read. And he said, if you have any questions, call me and I will answer your questions. And a few months into our once every 3-week meetings, he could see that I'm asking him hard questions like, why does your congregation drive cars on Shabbat while others don't? He explained himself and then said, it sounds like you want to be Orthodox. Why are you here with me? And I told him, because you're the only rabbi out of many who actually called me back. I learned with this conservative rabbi for 1.5 years, went to the mikveh, went back to the guru rabbi of conversions, showed him my conversion papers, and said, I got my feet wet. Now I want to go into the deep end. He looked at me shocked and told me to start coming to his classes on Sunday mornings from 10 to 1. I did that. Then he told me to move into the Jewish community. Well, I was still living with my mom, so it took me 6 months to save up my money. But I finally managed to move to Pikesville. I became friends with a rabbi who was doing Kiruv in Baltimore City, and he was my rock during the conversion process. For 5 years, I helped him to try to keep his job, did Kiruv with him, and worked with petitions and lawyers because I believed in what he stood for. I'm saying all of this because this is how I am today with Rabbi Yaron Reuven. I send his shiurim on WhatsApp groups. Some people like him. Others say he is too charif, amongst other things. But I believe in standing up against the Reshaim in the world and the stupid politics that are brought into the Jewish religion. And during this 7 years of learning and converting and all this stuff, all these rabbis never talked about Gehenna or, wasting seed. I heard about through people, but some of these things it sounded like a preference, but not mandatory. So, and I always, as a Christian, believed in Gehenna, but then when I became Jewish, Jews didn't really seem to believe in Gehenna so much. And my grandmother, who was Jewish, she said, no, we don't believe in that. So I was very, I had to kind of erase all that stuff from my mind. Fast forward, COVID came, and now I'm living in Israel. And I was listening to Rabbi Mizrahi for 4 years. So he had already cooked me. He was cooking me, feeding me hashkafa, and talking about Teshuva. And for 4 years, my stomach is churning, my heart is aching, and I'm hearing about all this teshuva that I have to do, but I don't know how to do it. I'm learning about all the sins that I committed, but I don't know how to fix them. And so one day during COVID lockdowns, and very early in the beginning of the processes of COVID, I think it was like February or March, I found Rabbi Reuven on Rabbi Mizrahi's page. So I was like, you know what? He's promoting him as his Talmid. Let me see who this guy is. So I started listening to his Shiur, and I was just like flabbergasted. I couldn't believe how amazing of a speaker he was, and all the sources. He was quoting so many sources, and that's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear sources, So it's like, this guy's legit. And so I started, I think I asked Rabbi Mizrahi for his telephone number, and he gave me his telephone number, and I just started slamming him with questions on WhatsApp, like about this and about that, and one of the questions was how do I do Teshuva? Because for 4 years I'm sitting here, my stomach's churning, and it felt like someone was giving me an autopsy while alive. I'm like, how do I do Teshuva? And Rabbi Reuven, he started telling me, you have to regret the sin, and you have to feel sorry, and you have to, and cry about it. And I never cried about a sin before. I didn't know what to do. So I was like, how do I start to feel on that level? And he's like, he points me in the direction of the Tikkun HaBrit series. And when I started listening to that, I was like, oh no. Oh my gosh, I can't believe who I was, how disgusting I am. And that brought tears to my eyes. So fast forward like a few weeks ahead, and I'm talking to Rabbi Reuven through WhatsApp, and I'm bombarding him with questions, and he's answering them. And finally he says, look, if you want to do real teshuva for this sin, the best way to do it is to stop people from doing the sin themselves. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna, like, what do I do? And he told me, like, you can buy some CDs and distribute them. And I had absolutely no money. COVID is here. I clean houses in Israel, so I'm not rich or anything, And so he tells me, I'm going to send you the CDs for free. All you have to do is give them out. They were Tikkun HaBrit CDs. So I'm thinking, okay, sure, great. So I didn't think he was really going to do it. I'm like, for free? Like, what rabbi gives you stuff for free? Anyway, the CDs came a month later. I started crying, and I'm thinking how much this rabbi really cares about me. He wants me to do Teshuva. He wants me to eliminate these sins from my neshama. And I'm just sitting there, like, looking at the box, like, wow, what a gift, like, from Hashem. So that's how I met Rabbi Reuven, and I knew he was serious, and I knew he really cared about my neshama. And I've ever since that first box arrived at my house, I have nothing but kavod and gratitude, and I'm just so grateful to find him in my life. He's changed my life, and he's even gave me the advice to cover my head. So covering my head, ever since I started covering my head, which I think I was talking to him about 2.5 months after I started talking with him, and he was telling me to cover my head, and I wasn't married, I was divorced, and I thought, and I wear my hair in a ponytail anyway, and I don't put on makeup or wear perfume, like that wasn't my thing. I'm not trying to get attention from men or anything like that. And so he told me to cover my head, and I maybe 6 months after covering my head, my whole life changed. Everything became easier. Everything got easier for me. None of these weird happenstances were happening to me during the day that were so terrible and driving me crazy and bothering me or agitating me or irritating me or making me angry. And he talked me into covering my hair, and not with the Kasui Rosh. I never believed in shadels. So because of him, my life got so much better, and I don't know where I'd be without him right now. The Tikkun HaBrit series was definitely the series that changed my life. Everyone always made it sound like it was a man's mitzvah. The man can't. It's his brit, and I never really thought that women were a part of the brit. So I was just as bad as a man, not as often probably as a man, but I asked my girlfriends, and they said, yeah, it's fine to be by yourself, and I'm not saying maybe I did it twice a month or something, but not a big deal, right? But then when I spoke with Rabbi Reuven, he was just like, no, the women in Mitzrayim, they did this too, and it's disgusting in Hashem's eyes. I was doing it because doctors recommended people doing it, and I was just like, okay, like it wasn't a big deal for me. I was just thought I was doing something to relieve stress. So because of Rabbi Reuven, I just changed like a huge part of my life, and I owe him everything, because I would probably still be doing the sin if it wasn't for him. He explained to me, Hashem's watching everything you do. And I didn't think it was a big deal, but no one, and people told me, like, no, it's for a man. It doesn't apply to women. So here I was, like, involved in this disgusting sin, not even understanding the consequences of it. And these are Haredi people telling me it was okay. So, I mean, my whole life has changed because of Rabbi Reuven. I mean, if he didn't tell me and open my eyes, then I would never have been able to change my life based on the communities and people that I know who are Haredi. It's sad that even the biggest Jews in the world don't understand how severe this sin is. So my whole life changed when I stopped doing this, when I started covering my hair. And even though I'm not married, I'm divorced, and I was hesitant towards covering my hair because, it was just, I clean houses. It's hot. You wear hats to keep the heat in your head on the winter time. And I'm like, how am I going to do this while cleaning a house? Especially in Israel. I mean, it's like one of the hottest places in the world. So, yeah, he changed my life. When I started listening to the rabbi, everything in my life started to change. Everything in my life got easier. Money started coming easier. My mood started to become happier and more joyful, and I became more enthusiastic about life. So, what can I say? I owe literally everything to Rabbi Reuven. If it wasn't for him, I don't think I'd be alive, and I would barely be living. Whether you're Jewish or not Jewish, Rabbi Reuven's lectures apply to every person in the world. Bitachon, Emunah, Yirat Shamayim, looking for the truth of serving one God, understanding the purpose of life and why humans were created. His lectures are relevant to every person on the planet. People today are lost, sad, angry, anxious, mentally ill, physically ill. All these emotional sicknesses or diseases go away if you understand the reason why you were created. But most importantly, people must implement the strategies that Rabbi Reuven teaches us. For people who want to start their journey with living life to the fullest, I would recommend to begin watching the Emunah series. This teaches you how to accept the good and the bad in this world, and that it's all a part of Hashem's plan on how he operates the world and how to accept God's will. The Bitachon series allowed me to accept Hashem's plans on how he runs the world, and once I understood that, the anger of feeling like the universe is against me, it all went away. God tests us, punishes us, and gives us problems that we can handle in order to make us more powerful as individuals functioning in society. These problems and asking Hashem to give us strength to pull through it makes us cling to our Creator and makes our souls and minds stronger in this world and in the world to come. These obstacles make us realize how small our problems are if we just ask God to help us through our everyday lives. If every person just focused on keeping their side of the street clean, the world would be a much safer and happier place. Rabbi Reuven teaches us how to work on our character traits. And once we conquer these issues, our tikkun, our lives are happier and life is more smooth and easier to cope.
Seven years of lectures. Seven months of film editing. Countless hours of study by 2 rabbis. Information we received over 3,000 years ago. All for this moment. Tikkun HaBrit, the movie.
There's a small member in your body. It shouldn't take over your whole life. If you satiate it, you're never gonna have enough.
The Sofer clan, when it gets a hold of something, it does not let go.
Time for us to rectify what we have done.
Normal numbers should be somewhere around 20 million or higher.
You're never gonna have control of it. If you start it, and only feed it when it's permissible according to the Torah.
Pornography is as addictive as crack cocaine.
You're always gonna be happy, including this world and the next. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen.